Okay guys, we need to talk about madness, and more specifically the math involved. What I'm going to go over today is a pretty quick breakdown of specific damages. Now you can see this build is spec'd for the Frenzy Flame seal at 30 Strength, Dex, Int, and 50 Faith. Now that's a 90-point investment for reasonable damage. It's good damage. I'm not complaining about that. 2 seals, cast, good stuff. Erd Tree, Frenzy, not good. But you're not running the right seals, so okay. Well, let's mix this up a bit. We're going to redo the build, and I'm going to put in some Arcane in here for testing with a Dragon Communion seal. Now, the seal damage is going to be a little higher than it should be, because there's no way you would be running 80 Faith with a Communion seal. It's not going to be that much higher. I think the adjust is like 360, when it should be around 320 or 330, somewhere along in there. So it is higher, and I'll make the note of that on the video. But that's really what we have to look at. Going from what you've seen, we're going to move back to the loyal testing troll here shortly, and get to the basic damage numbers. And this is what you saw me build. I should have the stats right, I might have flubbed that, but this should be at least in the ballpark. And 1477 for the first test, which is pure Erd Tree. Add the Madness Talisman, we get a significant damage boost. At 80 Faith? Now, I'll make my case on that in a second. For funsies, we knew the Dragon Com was going to do more. It didn't do it by much, but, you know, such is life. That said, like, when you guys see this, this is kind of why Elden Ring is messed up. This is not me saying something like the madness or sleep is broken. This is the scaling. The scaling in this game is messed up. And it's not just this. There's a lot of things like this where the scaling doesn't make a whole lot of sense. PvE or PvP, mind you. Like, this is a 90-point stat investment for a seal that has no weight, which is nice, causes a detrimental effect on the caster whenever they cast something, and the spells themselves, they're good. I'm not going to dispute that. I love them. But they're not broken to the point of, like, just being that further up the scale. Here we go with the Faith test. This is 80 Faith effective. 2 giant seals, 2347. You'll see what I'm saying in a second. Because with this, you just straight up nuke things. I get regularly one-shot people in PvP. Now, that's not controlled test, and it is invasion, so yeah, maybe running some dodgy stuff. But the number speaks for itself there. Dragon Com, Erd Tree, what have you. That said, let's move on to the comparison while this madness thing rolls itself out. Alright, so here we go. We got a 90-point investment. That's what I was talking about. You got 1749, Erd Tree at 1284 with Frenzy. And for comparison, that is the effectively 80 Faith build we were testing earlier. Like I said, that's what matters. Getting rid of the stuff that's kind of pointless. Erd Tree, I expect it to be better in the 80 Faith build, but I don't expect Erd Tree and Frenzy to be better than the Frenzy build. Because that is absolutely not what happens with the Fireball. The Giant's Flame stuff, as you saw earlier, it is significantly stronger when you start stacking talismans. This is stronger, yes, no question. But it's not even a comparison. Now, that could just be spell damage, and it could be skewing the results. I actually don't know. Regardless, looking at it from the outside perspective of that, and then having to be tasked with dealing with this thing all the time, or if you are running the Communion Seal and you get the better damage, you also have to put up with status buildup on yourself. Again, fair trade in my opinion, not a big deal, I never complain about that. But the stats and the scaling are the problem. Like, straight up. And it's not, like I said, it's not just this, this is just what I'm familiar with. I know the rest of the game has this issue in other places, and I mean, we're just gonna have to come together, and everybody's gonna have to post what they can about it and figure out what scaling is and isn't, you know, good or bad. Unfortunately for me, I really love casting, and I really love the madness spells, but and while the spells are good, They're not going to carry you as much as people like to blame. Now, the madness statistic, the dual Vikes War Spears, whole different argument. Which leads me into my segue of, I think we should fix this. Madness. Take away its health damage. Doesn't need it. Bleed's got that covered. Cold has it covered too. Just make it tank the whole FP bar. People don't like casters. Easy fix there. And you can just leave the stun or do something else creative with it. Make them run away from you. I don't care. Take it easy, guys. That's what I got.